Hi gents, I thought it might be helpful if I created you a little video this week of the tasks that you've got up. So I've got open at the moment to NEA, the PowerPoint presentation that I've uploaded for you on this week's assignment. You'll see that it starts off with a slide that you've seen before that was on NEA 1. The slide shows the whole of your NEA that you're going to be doing, and it's like a flow diagram. It shows how you do different parts of your NEA. The examination board sets into 4 parts for the marking. So you've got part 1 worth 16 marks. You've got part 2, which is worth 42 marks, and then part 3, 36 marks, part 4, 6 marks. So we're at the moment looking at part 1, and we're trying to do this summer term. Part 2 we will do in the autumn term, hopefully when we're back at school, and then part 3 at the end of autumn term and through into the spring term, and part 4 will be right at the very end of the term, just before you're going to hand in work. It's the evaluation and testing of the whole project. So last week I set you this one here, this context, to go at looking at what the examination board has given you and choose context. And then I asked you to do a task analysis, which was the mind map of different things that you could do for one of those contexts there. And then finally to come up with a design possibility. Now I asked you to do all this on a blank PowerPoint, which I also uploaded for you. So that was in A3, which is what the examination board requires you to work on. I also asked you to save that into your area and to call it by name. We're going to work on this very PowerPoint this week. This week we're going to look at identifying the user requirement and doing some market research. And if you go on to the next slide, you'll see that this is what this is saying. This is showing part 1 the investigation, and this is showing the weeks that we've got this term before summer holidays. It's showing you breakdown of what's happening each week. So we're on the 8th, and we're going to be identifying a user or a client up here. We're going to be doing some market research. So the first thing that we're going to do under identifying our user and our client is on slide 3. And you'll see it's labelled as task 4. That's because you did 1, 2 and 3 last week. So we're going to ask you to create a client profile. Your client profile is to outline who your client may be. So first of all, what you've got to do is choose yourself who your client is going to be for your project. The NEA, the examination board, says that you have to be making it for someone, and they'll take you marks off if you're not making it for a particular person. So you need to think about perhaps somebody that's close to you, to somebody like a grandparent, parent, or a sibling, a brother or sister. You can ask them questions. You'll also be asking them for some feedback on your designs later on, and some feedback on the actual project. And they're worth quite a lot of marks. So you need somebody that you can get hold of fairly easily, and we'll be happy to do this sort of thing for you. Task 4, producing a client profile. What I would do is put a new slide into that blank PowerPoint, please, and I would like you to put the title client profile on it. I would like you then to write down who your client is. If you wish to put a picture in, or a picture of something that they might like doing, to make it look a bit more silly, interesting. But I'd like you to list down their age or their age range is, what sort of family they've got, for example, if they've got children or not, what job they do, where they live, what sort of things they like to do, what sort of things they like to look at, and what's the environment that they live in like, things like that. All things that might influence the style, the look of your product that you actually make. So it's just a list. It's the name of the person, the title, client profile, and just the things that they like and some images on a slide. So once you've got a few relevant pictures and you've done a few bits and made it look quite nice, move on to the next task, which task 5, to do some market research. Now this is probably the bigger part of the task this week. What we want you to do is to write out a questionnaire. We would like to have about 10 questions. There is a Word document to your assignment as well, and it gives you some ideas of some sample questions. Try not to copy these. You can imagine if everybody writes exactly the same questions out, then they won't give you any marks for it because they'll know that you've all just copied questions. So just try and use them as ideas, but don't use them exactly as they are on the Word document, please. So your questionnaire could be in the form of a table. It could be in the form of just so you write down on a sheet of paper and then you make some notes on the side of it and then eventually present those questions up onto your PowerPoint. It's however you like them to look. You can see on the side here a couple of different examples of how some people have done their questionnaires and asked questions. So write up your questions into PowerPoint and then put in the answers as well, please. What ideally you need to try and get 3 different people to answer your. They need to be your client, and they need to be somebody else in that group or that target market that can give you some answers to your questions. The next task, task 6, you'll see, is just looking at the results that you've got, options, and then summarising them. So you can make a bar chart or a pie chart. Pie charts look quite interesting on the page, might be quite nice for the to see rather than looking at lots and lots of wordy writing. If you've got yes and no answers that work particularly well on a pie chart, you can do that by buying your results into an Excel spreadsheet, and then Excel you can make some pie charts there or some bar charts from there. You can copy those and put them into your PowerPoint and show what the results are, or you could do a table, as you see in the examples here, where you could have different columns that show the different answers that have been created. It's entirely up to you. There's no right or way. You just need to make sure that it's into your portfolio. The big money prize is task 6B, where you evaluate what you found. So don't just paste up what you found. You need to on there and say what you actually have found, how it's going to help you decide on what to make, or how it's going to help you decide on features that your product may have. It doesn't have to be a really, really long piece of writing, your evaluation. It could be something, but it does need to be on there, and it does need to say how it's going to help you in the future, the value of what you've done so far. Then on to the next slide. you'll see that it's an observational bit of research. Now this is an extension task, so you don't have to do it. But if you want to get the higher grades, the grades 8s and the 9s, then it would be a really good idea to do it. What this bit of research is about is looking at your target market. So seeing them actually using a existing product, or seeing them in the situation problems trying to solve would be some valid observational research. For example, you could go down to the coast and you could see wildlife. You could have a look and see where the issues are, where the problems are, and what you could do to help improve the information of wildlife around coastal areas. You can then take some pictures of things that you see, and they can all put onto a slide. Now this slide doesn't have to be done for the end of this week, for this week's deadline. It can be done over the summer. So if you're thinking, well, I can't get to the coast today or any time this week, but I may be able to get to it in July, in August, do it then. But if you're going to do this, copy it and add it to your portfolio with a reminder yourself that you need to change it and you need to add different things in there. So again, it's got a little conclusion item that you need to put to say what you've learned, how it's going to help you designing or making this product. Finally, the last slide on here is a checklist. So you can have a look what you've done so far. So far in that blank portfolio that you renamed your name, you should have a mind map, analysis, some design possibilities. They all don't have to be on 2 separate pages. They could just be on one, but they should be somewhere in your portfolio. You should now have, at the end of this week, an identification of a client, some market research into a questionnaire or an interview or a survey. You should also have the conclusion to that market research and an evaluation of what you found. That's it. What's coming up in week 3, a little bit further. So I hope that helps you. I hope it gives you some ideas of what to do. Please do add to the posts to ask your teacher or if there are any issues or anything you think not quite covered there. Okay, thank you very much for listening.